sitting upright, aware, oriented, friendly, compliant, like smiling, etc. And the way that I do it is I literally work head to toe. So you'll start off with the head and you'll palpate and be like, oh, no known lesions or anything, and you'll ask them, have you ever had head trauma? Have you ever had anything like that? They'll say no. You notice the symmetry of their face, because like stroke victims and stuff will have a side drooping. You'll be like, facial features symmetrical, hair evenly distributed, everything like that. And then usually where I go to next is check their ears. You're gonna have to pull the pin up and look in their ears, both sides at the membranes. Then after you check those membranes, you can check the nose and tell them to say ah.
Ah.
Right. And the biggest thing on the head to toe checkoff is just verbalizing what you're doing. Because in your mind, you're probably like, okay, I need to check the ears, but tell the instructor, I'm checking the ears or I'm checking the nose, and just kind of tell them a little bit about that area. So mucous membranes are moist, pink, etc. Dentition intact. One of the biggest things that they key in on even second semester is going to be eyes, like the Perla and the EOM stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll take, let me grab my pen light. I'll take the pen light. Have they showed you how to do this yet? Yeah. So you'll do this eye, kind of wait a second, and then do that eye, and then give them a break for a second because you just got a light shining in your eyes. And then you can do will you focus on the tip of my pen light? Will you focus on the wall? Back, like make them shift back and forth, and you'll see their eyes moving and adjusting. And then the EOMs, make sure you hit all 6 angles. So it's like a plus sign and an X. So you can go up, down, back to the middle, left, right, and then diagonal, and diagonal the other way.
And really, the up and down, it looks more like cat whiskers almost. The 6, because you're doing 6 rather than up and down.
Right.
You're gonna start here and go this way, this way, this way, this way, that way, that way.
Right.
So it's gonna look like cat whiskers.
Like drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can palpate their mandible, do the cranial nerve 5 where you ask them to bite down and close their eyes and test the touch. Palpate their neck for any swollen lymph nodes or anything like that. And then you can move to their trachea, make sure it's midline, ask them to swallow, say their swallow's intact, and the thyroid is not enlarged. And the way to check for JVD is you have to have them, did they explain that? Where you have to like lay back in the bed, you'll literally see their veins like super distended, but none of y'all should have JVD, so. And then while you're at the neck, you can go ahead and do the range of motion, ask them to do all that stuff. And move to the shoulders, tell them, put a little bit of resistance, tell them to shrug their shoulders, and then check the turgor, skin turgor on their clavicle. And then from there you can either move to arms or you can move to lungs. I like to just do arms to get them out of the way. So what I do is I immediately move down to their fingers. I check their cap refill on both hands. You have to say bilat. And note any clubbing or any lesions or anything like that. Note their skin integrity. And then you're going to check their radial pulse, bilat. And you can go ahead and get them to do arm range of motion. And to make it less awkward, like in a real setting, is just kind of talk to your patient about it. Like, hey, have you ever had any trouble lifting your arms? Have you ever had any accidents? Like, just make it, I don't know, a lot more comfortable for them. And before you assess the lungs, you can ask them, have you ever had any shortness of breath lately? Have you had pneumonia? Have you had anything like that? And they'll say no or yes. And then, did they teach y'all how to go to the 6 different lobes of the lung?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. So it's like, I have my stethoscope too. Am I doing good so far?
Mhm.
So
We're
the
gonna
six,
put you on staff, Manley.
so the 6 lobes, you'll go here to here, down, over, and then the lower lobe is kind of outside and like at the bottom of the ribs. And you'll do that on the back as well. And can any of y'all tell me where the apical pulse is found?
Clavicular.
Five
Or
intercostal.
between your fourth and fifth intercostal.
Fifth intercostal, yeah. So like right under the peg, kind of.
Okay.
And are they requiring y'all to listen to that for a full minute, or you just gotta
No, we gotta.
you gotta
Yeah,
verbalize it on that?
Yeah.
No, we have to listen to it for the head to toe. Yeah, we just had to verbalize it
You
for
just
the
have to
vital
verbalize
signs.
it. So verbalize the sound like S1, S2. It's gonna be your love dub, like your normal heartbeat. Okay, count respiratory rate. I forgot about that. Yeah, note how they're breathing, like unlabored, even respirations. If they're sitting there hyperventilating, like note that. Let's see. Cardiac, apical pulse. Okay, the 5 cardiac landmarks, we didn't
So,
really.
We
Okay,
don't have to do that.
we didn't have to do that either. Okay, and then after the lungs, after you do the front and back, I would move to the GI, like the stomach. And so before you palpate or anything, you want to like auscultate. So you want to listen to all 4 quadrants and tell the instructor like bowel sounds present in all 4 quadrants. If they're hypoactive, if they're hyperactive, or just normal. And are they requiring y'all to do the tap on there? Okay. So before you do the tap, I would just kind of palpate and feel for any tenderness or if they wince up or anything like that. And then I would do the tympani, tympani in all 4 quadrants, and then note any bladder distension. And so another tip in clinical, you're not gonna do this on your partner because it would be kind of weird and uncomfortable, but kind of note skin integrity while you're doing the entire head to toe assessment. The skin integrity is like a big part of, like infection and everything about the wellness of a patient. So in a clinical setting, you're like the first couple times you do it, you're gonna feel awkward. You're like, oh, mask gonna remove their like shirt, or, like lift it up. But I mean, that's something you just have to check, and it's something that you have to do. And then after you assess the bladder for any distension or anything, ask them about their elimination patterns, their frequency of urination, what color it was, and same thing about stool. And then you move on to the legs. You palpate the dorsal pedis pulse, I believe it's called, and then you do the same capillary refill, and then you note clubbing or anything like that, and then you can ask your patient to get up to assess gait, and then range of motion of their legs. You can do while they're hanging off the bed, you can have them push against you, pull against you, the gas pedal, that whole thing. And the biggest thing is if you're halfway done with your head to toe and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do something on the head, don't worry about it. Keep that in your mind and just keep going through your whole process. And then at the end, they'll be like, okay, is there anything that you missed or that you'd recheck? And you'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot to do this, or I forgot to do lung expansion or something like that. So the best way to practice is just review your paper and practice on each other and kind of quiz each other. Like just be like, hey, you forgot to do this, or hey, you forgot to do that. Because if you just sit and look at the paper all day, you're not gonna remember that stuff. So it's more of like a hands-on learning.
It's that muscle memory. It's working through it.
I think I pretty much hit everything. Contour of abdomen, their belly's like big.
And you can't get the contour by looking like this. The contour is seen this way. Is it scaphoid? Is it protruding? Is it flat? Most of us have a flat abdomen. Even if we're bigger, when you look at it, because weight distributes, it's going to be a flat abdomen. And so, but if it's scaphoid because of extremely thin, those are usually people who have weight issues or nutrition, cancers, that sort of thing.
You just kind of gauge it by your hands.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I did head to toe check off, I missed on the expense. I didn't.
Yeah, I would just say that it's equal. I've
Thank
never
you.
measured it.
If you miss like one thing, they're not really.
Yeah,
I don't think
one or
you're gonna
two
fail.
things. If you miss washing your hands and identifying your patient,
Yes.
that's big. Everything else is a matter of tallying check marks.
And you can have a really good partner, if you're a good partner, you'll,
Yeah.
or you'll give
You'll-
some
they'll
sign,
kinda
you'll
grade the
bat your
paper and
eyes
you're
like,
like,
you missed my
"Oh."
eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it would be
But
something
I-
if it was like, they do something with my eye.
If you
I
miss
don't
a
like
whole
this.
system,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got
it's
that.
straight
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
Put your finger in your nose and I'm like-